Breaking news. Trump is using brain hospitals to access 100% of his brain ability
Peace out, mate.
Horoscope is ready.
http /fv.nl.us
Hey girlfriend, let us help you get ready for bikini season.
Thanks for being a loyal. Text stop to stop.
Just taka dvěma ovtasegunu bärsen boom.
Cindy may have weighing on your defense now, right?
Is stressful.
This trick, backed by a Vishal tank judge, will make you hot and tear.
Beware, the truth is waiting.
Now we don't even argue or kick each other's teeth. We all love each other. That's just how it's supposed to be. Summer, I would have disagreed. I didn't like you, and you didn't like me. Now we don't even argue or kick each other's teeth. We all love each other. That's just how it's supposed to be.
I hate when you touch me now, but I love the bruise. It always sticks around longer than you. I think you leave it on purpose in my favorite shade. And I hate when you speak out loud the way that you do. All poems and rhymes and your thoughts on the news. It used to be charming, now I just want you erased. You lied to your mom and said I was a friend. She called me to say sorry for you. I think we both kinda want this to end, but you look so good when we argue, and I don't wanna see you with anyone else, and I don't wanna see you with me. It's taking up all of the air in the room. You get off when I can't breathe. If I could move, I swear I'd leave. I feel nothing now when I look at you, except the burden of the hell that you're putting me through. I'd ask you to let me down slowly, but what would change? You'll cry on my shoulder, say that you're mine, then you'll call me met you, you couldn't bear to show my face. But when I left you, you were on your knees begging me to stay. I think at this point you should be okay. But after all these tears, you still follow me around like a stray. And now you're at my door saying we should try again. I wonder if you know that it's fucking 3 a.m. And you can say it all you want, they don't never find a better man. But baby, I'm too old to play pretend. When I met you, you thought life would go your way. But when I left you, you figured out the sun controls the day. I don't get you every time I let you in. You prove to me I'm better off leaving your ass out on the curb with the bin. And now you're at my door saying we should try again. I wonder if you know that it's fucking 3 a.m. And you can say it all you want, they don't never find a better man. But baby, I'm too old to play pretend. You told me everything that shines is glitter, so I couldn't see we were fool's gold. And you can call me a quitter, but I just think that you are getting old. And now I'm at your door screaming that this is the end. I wonder if I know that I'm doing it again. And you can say it all you want, that I'm too young to understand. But baby, I'm too old to play pretend.
I swear I feel happy, but I'm also kinda queasy. I'm gonna take a bathroom break, and I hope that no one sees me. Why am I built this way? I just wanna be me. I know you wanna please me, I just can't relax so easy. You hit my funny bone. I don't know if it's you. You hit my funny bone. I don't know if it's you. You hit my funny bone. I don't know if it's you. You hit my funny bone. I don't know if it's new to this.
Both know that we can't take things any further. To say what I wanna do, it would feel like murder. Lies are easier, the truth is always squeezier. Movies and TV tell us that we should love quite freely, yeah. I can't be animal and I just can't be honest, cause to tell you what I'm wanting, yes it makes me wanna vomit, yeah. Feel like a monster, no I can't forget my size. I Feel the hunger in me, so I keep it out my eyes. And if you could come and know me, would you like the thing you find? And if I could just be honest, would you like to take a ride? You hit my tiny thumb. I don't know if it's in my. You hit my tiny thumb. I don't know if it's doing this. You hit my tiny thumb. I don't know if it's in my. You hit my tiny thumb. I don't know if it's doing this.
Some old friend, my mind, an overcomplicated outpouring of something unsaid. I've been reorganizing my own chaos still. Can't find the key to my own. Reparations for outdated sins, and then a list of things to do today before the dread sets in. And I couldn't bring myself to your front door. I'm sorry for introducing myself as the one who could be constant. I've been reorganizing my own chaos still. You showed up in my dream last night, and in my dreams we don't ever fight, and I feel you fade into the morning light, and I care for you though you are not my right hand any longer. Ooh, I hope you're stronger. Ooh, am I giving you enough space behind the radius of all the special places we left our traces alive in the crevices of what I remember, alone and remnants still left on my phone. I'll always want the best for you. I'll always want the best for you. I'll always want the best for you. I'll always I touch your fire. I feel alive. Breaking into little pieces, coming together in time. Why you think I built this house? To touch your fire, to feel alive, lose track of time. Went up just like a train, baby. My thoughts start coming up. Fuck.
Hi. Hello and congratulations, class of 2022. It is so fabulous to see you all. I'm going to begin by acknowledging that our college is in Bennington, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mohican and Abenaki. We honor the land and the people who have been its stewards through the generations. So tonight marks the beginning of the celebration of the 87th annual commencement of Bennington College. I'd like to welcome, of course, the graduates. You are an amazing, amazing class. And I want to welcome the trustees who are here, faculty members. I also want to give a very warm welcome to our commencement speaker, Pulitzer Prize-winning poet Jericho Brown. And he will, of course, be speaking tomorrow, but you already have the crowd with you. And Elena, thank you so much for being here and being the faculty speaker. There are several members of the class of 2022 who could not be present with us tonight, and they're joining us virtually. Congratulations to you. And also joining us virtually are many parents and friends and family who are watching from many, many places around Bennington and around the country and around the world. We can feel your love, your support, and your guidance. And let's also give it up to the beautiful music you heard earlier. It was fabulous, and I loved watching you dance. It was performed by the faculty and staff of the Middle Eastern Ensemble, led by Joe Alpar and Kathy Bullock's Black Singing Style Chorus. The recorded music you heard during dinner was a playlist of student musicians. You couldn't maybe hear it so well, but let's give a shout out to all the student musicians. So before the remarks, I want to kind of do another Bennington tradition, and it's a happy one. I'm pleased to announce that the Board of Trustees has selected Florence Gill as this year's recent graduate trustee. Florence, stand up. Thank you. Where is she? I don't even see her. Congratulations, Flo. And congratulations, class of 2022. You know, when you first came to Bennington, I think you had heard of the plan. How many of you knew what the plan was when you first came here? You may have been a bit mystified by it, or anxious about starting it, or excited to get going. By now, you have lived the plan. I trust that you are a bit less mystified. You have each had a unique experience. As you know, there are no two plans that are alike. You have reflected on your burning questions. You have refined your goals several times over. You have swum through the ambiguity of uncertainty. You have researched and wrote an extensive overview of novel Perscovite solar cell devices. You've sought to give microorganisms the indigenous names they, for the most part, have not had, in order to generate enthusiasm for weaving new names and new organisms into our stories and culture. You've studied how Zoom and other video conferencing tools impact students' use of special vocabulary at our disposal during video conference. And this is an amazing thesis, really looking at what words you use when you're on Zoom. And did you know it's this, right? This that you use way more than that. And that's fascinating. You have created an NFT collection that revolved around central female figures with the goal of presenting women from different cultures and your own identity as an Asian woman living in a multicultural environment. You have rehearsed and you have performed. One of the things I loved about watching some of the senior shows and the dance shows is that there was, I think for maybe the first time, there were casts and crew that were fully BIPOC. And I just think that is a real wonderful tradition that we want to keep going. So during your plan process, you were encouraged and pushed to think more deeply, and most of all, to find your own voice. So you will take with you that courage to live through ambiguity, that belief in your own voice as you create your plan for life after Bennington. You have each been tested through this incredible global pandemic. You arrived, you had no idea what you were getting into. You've been tested with the barn fire, and isn't it fabulous that it is rising right this moment, and you can see this barn, which looks so fabulous. You know, your final year here began at Convocation when Mariam Ghani, an artist and faculty member, spoke about the Taliban takeover in Afghanistan, the images and news we were all following at the time, and her concerns for friends and colleagues there. Just a few weeks ago, as I'm sure many of you now know, the Taliban ordered that women must cover themselves from head to toe, and women broadcasters must cover their faces. Now, as we prepare to mark this graduation and the promises and challenges that come with this passage, many of us are feeling the events in the Ukraine. Some of you are deeply and personally affected by the war, including tonight's faculty speaker, Elena Demenyanko, who was trained in Moscow and has family in Ukraine. It is a time of strife and challenge in the world, but let's not forget that tonight and tomorrow is a celebration, and I encourage you to celebrate. Congratulations. Now I am honored to introduce and welcome Bennington's Provost, Dr. Maurice Hall, who has just completed his first year as Provost.
Good evening and congratulations, class of 2022. Thank you so much, President Walker. As President Walker mentioned, we are so excited this evening to have Elena Demenyanko join us tonight and tomorrow as the faculty speaker. Not only has she been a faculty member for the last 8 years, she is also a graduate of the MFA program here at Bennington. Elena received her BA in choreography from the Academy of Theatrical Arts in Moscow. She has been touring globally, creating art in cities across the globe. She's been a member of the Stephen Petronio Company and the Trisha Brown Dance Company. She's performed with Martha Clark and the Bill T. Jones Arnie Zane Company. In dance, Elena has written that embodiment is a critical piece of the art form. At Bennington, the word captures our approach to education. We ask our students to learn in an embodied way. That knowledge has an application that often comes with responsibilities. When Russia invaded Ukraine earlier this year, Elena organized an anti-war performance action that brought together faculty members, staff, and students to lay down, to physically rest their bodies on the ground. I was honored to participate in that, and it was an extraordinary moment in the community. This action will not stop the war, of course, but in this simple statement, literally grounding ourselves, we connected to something fundamental, to one another, to others protesting around the globe, and to the earth itself. Embodiment, to paraphrase Elena again, is grounding your experience in the world. We are so excited to have her with us here tonight. Friends, colleagues, graduates 2022, it is my deep pleasure to welcome Professor Elena Demenyanko.
Thank you, Maurice. Thank you. Hard to go after you.
Well, congratulations to the graduates of 2022. You have completed your undergraduate studies, one of the essential phases in your life of learning. You did it despite very turbulent times, amidst the global COVID pandemic and the resulting isolation, the turmoil of racial injustice, the threat of climate change. And during your very last term, as though this weren't enough, a devastating war in Ukraine. And these are just some of the challenges, collective and individual, that you faced. But you persisted, showed up, and did the work. And now you're here, exhaling deeply. We're so proud of you. As a Russian citizen living in relative safety in the US, it is very easy for me to say what I'm going to say next, because I will not be arrested or face harassment or censure. I deeply, viscerally, with all my heart, condemn the violence initiated by Russia with its war of aggression and nuclear threat. Until February of 2022, Russian citizens inside the country were able to speak up against the certain action of the state. But on the 24th of February this year, we all witnessed things changed in one night. All independent media sources were shut down. People who spoke against the invasion of Ukraine were banned or arrested and continue to be arrested for things like holding up a poster saying, "Don't kill," or even worse, simply holding a blank page of paper. Consequently, Russians only have access to the narrative presented by the state, devoid of critical context and biased in favor of state power. Over 4 million people have left the country, so far out of fear of persecution and economic catastrophe. In one day, Russia's future changed irreversibly. You can argue that it was happening gradually, yet nobody can predict that last term would happen so quickly. So in the light of these events, I would like to start with an excerpt of the speech that former editor of a Russian student magazine, Doxa, Alla Gutnikova, gave in court after being sentenced to 2 years of corrective labor for speaking up. Alla is your age. She writes, she spoke, "I often feel like a fish, a bird, a schoolboy, a baby. But recently I was surprised to learn that Joseph Brodsky, a Russian poet and Nobel Prize in Literature, was also judged at 23. And since I was also assigned to humankind, I will say this. I believe that world was created for tenderness, for hope and pleasure, and solidarity, and passion, and joy. But instead, we are surrounded by unbearable amount of violence. And I don't want violence in any form. If I decide to list all the violence that is around, no day or week or year would be around. To see the violence, all you have to do is open your eyes." She said, "My eyes are open." And Allah continues, "These days, neither I nor my friends can find a place to escape from horror and pain. Someone I know is scared. They choose to remain silent." But Audre Lorde, American poet, says, "Your silence will not protect you. Remember, fear eats the soul." The Moscow Metro says, "Passengers are forbidden to be on the train that goes to a dead end."
And the St. Petersburg band, it's a musical band, Aquarium, adds, "This train is on fire." Allah quotes Lao Tzu through Tarkovsky, a Russian filmmaker, said, "The main thing is for them to believe in themselves and become helpless as children, because weakness is great and strength is insignificant. When a person is born, he's weak and flexible, and when he dies, he's strong and tough. When a tree is growing, it's tender and pliant, but when it's dry and hard, it dies. Hardness and strength are death companions. Pliancy and weakness are expression of the freshness of being, because what has hardened will never win." Remember, fear eats the soul. Allah continues, "Be like a child. Do not be afraid to ask yourself and others what's good and what is bad. Don't be afraid to say the king is naked. Don't be afraid to shout, to cry. Repeat to yourself and others, 2 + 2 = 4. I'm a human. I'm strong and brave, strong and brave, strong and courageous." Freedom is a process by which you develop the habit of being unavailable to slavery. That is Alla Gutnikova, and she's serving her sentence as we speak. She's your age. Since I'm also assigned to the human race, I would like to add to this. Though I was born in Moscow, my last name is Ukrainian. My father is half Ukrainian, and part of my extended family is still in Ukraine. I just spoke to them in January. I was brought up singing Ukrainian love songs, driving across Russia with my father. The ties run deep. Blood and cultural connections exist in every second family across the border of Russia and Ukraine. Yet now we see members of the same family filled with rage, trusting the state propaganda more than their own relatives. So in these months since this absurd war began, I couldn't stop thinking about how readily available our bodies are to state propaganda. What is that blinding power that makes one family member hate another? What tool is used to dehumanize whomever the president and his friends in corporate media might choose to target? I witnessed firsthand the strength of the propaganda that incites hate, the most powerful of weapons. Like Allah, I see us facing a world that is driven by a cult of violence. The false accusation that put people in prisons in yet again speak not only of a lack of critical thinking and misinformation, but of ideas invented to spread mistrust and fear. And this cultivated fear, which we might also call propaganda, is intended to legitimize hate as a form of political expression. We witness right now that emotions are becoming more than just private matter. Hate becomes the only remaining instrument. All other sentiments are overridden. Sometimes hate even masquerades as love, that love of a nation that binds people together against perceived threats, and those fantastical others who supposedly endanger jobs, security, wealth, land, and natural resources. But even more importantly is how the cultivation of hate reduces complexity, the multiple, the diversity of perspectives, the whole picture of reality with its paradoxes and simultaneity. So the question that I now have are, how do emotions of hate move within and between bodies? And how do individual emotions move the collective body? As hate and love and care slide sideways and backwards between bodies, it reopens past associations. As it ripples and vibrates in the gut, I think about the role of the body and the choices we make. Sorry, it took me a while to get to the body. And that is where I think about this unique kind of learning that you've known here at Bennington. The learning through doing, experiencing, sensing, making, and applying. This experiential, embodied learning encourages you to venture into the unknown with your whole sentient body, to take risks, to make connections, to think abstractly, to work together, body to body. Opening yourself to think with all your senses in order to embrace the full multidimensionality of the embodied experience is key. The body that is aware and noticing, eyes open, is the body that makes a choice to resist hate and servitude. Instead, practicing daily, as you did here, to cultivate the capacity for pleasure and care. Our bodies are designed to learn. While often unacknowledged, the body is an obvious and critical tool in the development of learning, in paying attention, in choosing how to move, and because of this, how to think. We can see where attention is focused based on the bodily shifts. Movement and touch is the foundation underneath all the sensing we do as we gather data around us. When I think of the body, I think of its sentience, that collection of cells that aggregates into tissues, tissues into organs, organs into systems, systems into the body that moves, interprets, synthesizes, translates, responds, witnesses, and absorbs. I think of it as a body-mind, a consciousness, a whole individuated flow of exchange. The embodied practices at the center of your education aim to strengthen the link between corporeality, feeling, and action, as manifested through falling, rolling, rubbing, resisting with back and belly and bottom and neck and jaw and face. Through the movement of the body, we deliver our actions by which we can heighten our awareness to the choices we make. But most importantly, the body can hold all paradoxes at once. When you see a body in action, sorry, I had to regulate my breath. When you see a body in action, you see simultaneity of gender, racial and neural diversity, renewal and aging, vulnerability and boldness, fragility and flexibility, myriad of cultural inputs and influences, action and ability to wait. You move into the world with this visceral understanding of the non-binary, multidimensional experience of living in the flesh, in a way that holds complexity at the center. Through a body, we know more than we can put into words. I'm just attempting. This commitment not to simplify and reduce is grounded in a pleasure of sensing our somatic livelihood and existence with all its colors and dimensions in order to penetrate the fog of misinformation and hysteria. Each term at Bennington, you were choosing what classes to take, what interests to follow, and what questions to ask, connecting and synthesizing information. You were listening to your internal knowing. I've seen it. That resides within you and the satisfaction that it brings. That satisfaction is a sensation. Making choices is the turbulent sea that you have been swimming in for the last few years. Learning through this complex design is how we grow awareness to prevent automatic movement and thought, unconscious patterns and beliefs, choosing what to pay attention to in this sea of movement and information is the practicing of creating change. At all your plan meetings, we ask you, what is that you really want to do? You were encouraged to study broadly, to be exposed to the fields that might point you to the direction of your calling, like accidentally entering a dance class. We were asking you to listen to the responses of your whole system. What do you get excited by? What moves you? To pay attention to where your desires lie and where you find your pleasure. And that pleasure is a sensation as well. I have to bring Audre Lorde said, when pleasure is present, it is not only about what we do, it's about how acutely and fully we can be in the doing. Once we grow the capacity to experience satisfaction and completion, we can then get closer to the fullness of living. The aim here is to make our lives empowered by the deepest knowledge that resides in the body. Because you hold multiple selves at once, you can embrace the world with all its paradoxes, complexities, and simultaneity. And more importantly, you're learning to take full, unrestricted pleasure, because being connected to your internal knowing is to have agency in choosing how to live your life. And you know what? You know how to do it. And finally, hear the words of one of your classmates and my student. One has to be willing and aware. Any other state of being sounds to me like not participating in your own life course, not being. Right now is the time to do what you want, to ask what you need, to love how you must, because tomorrow is never, ever promised. Bennington College has engaged you in education that is ethical and intellectual, but also aesthetic and sensual. Now we ask you to take that embodied knowledge into the world and to meet your challenges with fearlessness and pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elena. That was just so beautiful. One of my favorite parts of commencement is the privilege of introducing the student speaker. This year, Sophia Pacheco Pardo represents the class of 2022. Sophia has concentrated on political science with a focus on Latin American studies. Her thesis and plan looked at United States intervention in Central America and the long-term impact that has on immigration. She is one of the founding members of the International Student Task Force, a valuable partner on campus, and has advocated for international students at Bennington. Sophia captures in her studies, her work, and in her remarks tonight what community is all about. Please join me in welcoming the 2022 Commencement Student Speaker, Sophia Pacheco Pardo.
Hi, and welcome to my TED Talk. No, I'm kidding. If you see me cry, no, you didn't. And, well, let us start, right? Good evening, families, faculty, staff, trustees, virtual emotional support groups, and class of 2022. Let me tell you all, the more I live and the more I look around, I realize that my grandmas were right. The best way to bring people together is through food. Food for the road, on the table, leftovers in the fridge, cafecito or chai in the morning, at noon, maybe at 5 in the afternoon. And if one of those thesis drafts is due, maybe even at 11 at night. The recipes that come from the soul, because measurements do not apply in this case, continue to give us the sustenance we need. Through notebooks, cookbooks, word of mouth, or a good old FaceTime. They make their way into each one of our lives. We have not yet mastered the FaceTime, but the few minutes we have of shouting ingredients and questions at each other has provided some of us with the best meals in 4 years. So how do we make this perfectly imperfect dinner? Bear with me while I try to make sense of this weird recipe. It's a multi-course meal of the alternative liberal arts. The cuisine, Vermontan with a little bit of spice. The prep time is approximately 18 years. The cook time, 4 years, a pandemic, 3 college presidents, 2 United States presidents, and 1 Chef Steve with a very active Instagram account. The servings are for about 1,000 peeps. Before you start, know you will have to take it one step at a time. Don't try to get ahead and enjoy the process. And so we move on to the ingredients. For the base that holds it all together, we have the ground of the Abenaki and Mohican peoples. Add an abundant cup of a caring group of housekeeping and buildings and grounds staff. A dash of our campus safety team unlocking our rooms after a, shall we say, evening stroll. And okay, bye from Dave, just before the shuttle drives off. The dining hall team's excitement to welcome us back every single term, and those professors with 5 a.m. email responses to our last-minute questions. For the filling, add a black turtleneck wearing video artist with funky accessories. Have you heard about this concept, public action enthusiast? A pair of clay speckled pants leaving little bits as they walk through D-Hall, carrying, of course, a self-made mug. The mysterious and dedicated beings that lurk around the corners of Dickinson, and an experimental synthetic symphony that travels all the way down from the castle on the hill. A dash of, wait, was that due today? A cup of purple carrot farm dust. And little gatherings with some alcohol, for your hands, that is. Bring this all together to a very gentle boil. Look out for the flames. Remember that heat, sometimes in the form of the absence of a loved one whose glitter we keep close to our hearts, or in the loss of a gathering space for all, or physical distance in order to protect each other, or tears that add a saltier than usual taste to our dish, or the fight for Black lives to be equal, or the 144th day of the year that saw the 212th reported case of the gun violence crisis in this country, or having to wake up and read the news that will tell us whether or not we get to see our families this year, the exhaustion and the fear for what is to come. All of this, quintessential parts of the art of making food and the art of making memories. Assemble the base, the filling, and onto the topics we go. Sprinkle the warmth of indirect lighting in the little shoebox we call our home. The snoring of a creature whose specific species we have not managed to figure out. Yes, I am talking about Baloo. The deafening mix of mother tongues share around a conversation about the most mundane of topics. Cackles at 3 a.m. that won't let the oldies sleep before their 8 a.m. class. The comfortable silence of hardworking friends. Car rides with music our parents engraved in our minds. The holding of hands as if to say we've got each other. And the hopeful hearts that just want to take it 1 minute at a time. Y listo. But how do we serve this dish? We get a long wooden table, a plethora of mismatched cups, forks, knives, spoons, and plates. Feel the whoosh of cold air as the doors, windows, and secret entrances of this mountain-shaped house open and close to let the stars of this event come in. Put their own dishes down on the table and take a seat. Let the murmurs turn to words, screams, songs, and then silence that will let you observe the constellation you and your dish have created. No judgment, no expectations, just the comfort of panza llena and corazón contento. The smells of an indecipherable combination of ingredients from each dish, each star, each story. And you have to let it sink in, 1 second at a time. Once the sobremesa, that space for pending conversations, jokes, shared experiences, good wishes, disagreements, and dreams after dinner has passed, the constellation vanishes, and each star returns to the corner of the universe they came from, or searches for a new horizon to explore. I was asked multiple times why I wanted to write and give this speech, and my response was simple: closure. Eduardo Galeano, in his book El Libro de los Abrazos, or the Book of Hugs, writing about exile and the great jigsaw puzzle that is identity and life, once asked, why do we write if not to put the pieces together? Let me switch it up, and let me ask, why do we cook if not to turn an individual ingredient into the most perfectly imperfect of dishes? We're still trying to make ourselves, the ingredients, come together into whatever dish makes us happiest. I hope the speech provides us with a sobremesa, not to forgive and forget, but rather one of making sense of this crazy dinner table we call Bennington and move forward. As a class, in a community, we have been able to redefine what the self, friendship, home, loss, drive, and a plan, any plan, means. We have been witnesses to each other's pain, resilience, creativity, solidarity, and patience. And now that our dinner is about to conclude, we can allow ourselves to take the deepest of breaths, and as my mom reminds me of every day, sorry, keep on taking it 1 second at a time. A mi familia, papi, mami, Marifer, salud y gracias por su sacrificio, el sudor, las lágrimas, los abrazos y besos que me llevaron hasta acá y me seguirán empujando a todas mis metas. Tita Tere, Tita Irene, Tito Hugo, tías, tíos y primos, salud por echarme porras, por acompañarme y por enviarme toda esta energía que me tiene aquí en este escenario en este momento, llorando. To my chosen family, thank you. Thank you to the underpaid. Thank you to the overworked. Thank you to debt. Thank you to a life-defining piece of paper. Thank you to the bare minimum. Thank you to our falling house. Thank you to anger. Thank you to exhaustion. Thank you to mishandled situations. Thank you to a mission that has yet to include us all. Thank you to an institution that wants to grow but has not yet found the way to figure out how. Thank you to the long hugs. Thank you to the music. Thank you to love. Thank you to caring. Thank you, Joyce. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Luke. Thank you, Cisco. Thank you, staff. Thank you, friends. Thank you, faculty. And thank you, Closure. Thank you to every member of this community that was part of my constellation, that enjoyed our dinner, and is now ready to go and explore every corner of the stable called world. Congratulations to everyone.
And thank you, Sophia. Before we have dessert, I just want to say a few words. The ornithologist and poet J. Drew Lanham has written eloquently about our shared desire to find space, spaces where we feel at home, where we belong, feel safe, can explore and learn. In late 2020, writing about the first year of the pandemic in an essay, Elegy in Three Plagues, he said, "Our task has been pathfinding through the improbable without ending up at the inevitable." J. Drew Lanham looked outside his South Carolina home, his plans and travels canceled, and watched the tropics filter through as migrating birds found the space good enough for rest and refueling. Writing about the pandemic, prejudice, and the presidency at the time, he reflected, "The trail we're on is not normal, not what we mapped or planned. But when normal is some long ago thing we passed on the old path, time now to chart a new way." Space, I've come to think, is not just a place we inhabit and travel through. It is also an experience that we bring with us as we move through the world. The last 4 years were an experience, often not the one expected, but they never are, that you will carry with you for many, many years to come, the rest of your lives. The meaning will change as new experiences lead you to rethink earlier ones, but the values and thoughts are anchored in a place that you bring with you. Tomorrow, we celebrate as you begin to chart a new way. I can't wait to see you all tomorrow for the conferring of degrees. This is it, graduates. You did it. So please take your time to visit with one another tonight. Everyone is welcome to mingle with the graduates' families at a dessert reception at the Student Center. You'll get to hear music from our wonderful jazz ensemble. I hope you also take the time to stroll through the night garden tonight if it's not raining. It's just beautiful. All those lights are out. And I will see you, what time? 10 o'clock sharp. Thanks.